Hello everyone. This is Gurveen Kaur, Assistant Professor in Department of Management Studies. And today we are going to discuss the topic under organizational development, that is the change agent. So, who is a change agent? Basically, a person in an organization who is going to make some activities related to the change which is going to happen in an organization. So that may be any official who is being hired from outside. It may be a person who is inside the organization who is working over there. It may be an expert person who is always used to work as a change agent. So he may be known as the OD intervented people also. He may be known as a change agent also. He may be a person who is going to deal with making several kind of changes in the organization. So a person in an organization responsible for making the change activity. So that person is known as the change agent. Now these change agents are also known as the catalysts or OD experts. A change agent can be a manager or non-manager, current employee, newly hired employed, or the outside consultant. So change agent may be known as the OD consultant. He may be known as the catalyst. So he or she may be a person who is from the organization itself. He is working as an employee. He may be working as a manager. He may be hired as a new employee in an organization, or he may be a person who is from outside. So he is not the part of the organization, but he is hired over there to work as a change agent in the organization, and he will be acting as a consultant over there. Now, these change agents are basically responsible for making the changes in the organization. The problem faced in an organization. So this person is going to analyze, this person is going to find what kind of problem is over there, and that problem is to be solved over there. So that problem is being solved with the help of the person that is known as the change agent. Now, a change agent follows basically three types of strategies. That is the rational, empirical, normative or reductive, and power and coercive. So first would be the rational and empirical. So they assume that the people are rational and respective to the change when give adequate facts. So these rational empirical factor is basically a strategy is basically that when the people they are provided up with the adequate factors or adequate facts and the information that yes, these are the facts. This is what today world is happening in the world it's happening. This is how the world is changing. So when the adequate facts, the relevant information is being provided to these people, they lead to the change. So these are known as the rational and the empirical strategies upon which a change agent works with the facts which are being provided, the relevant and the true facts. Next are the normative or reductive. The change will only occur when the attitude and the relationship are altered, when the attitude is being changed from the negative to positive, when the relationship among the people is being changed, the things are being altered. Fine. So alteration is over there. So this comes when there is a normative or reductive strategy. Next, third is the power or coercive. So result of an individual needs to please a supervisor or fear or losing their job. When the change is going to happen because of power, we are having a fear that I will lose my job. I am having a fear I will lose my job. My superior is dominating me. My boss is dominating me. Fine. Or I have a fear that something wrong will happen. They are going to demote me. No promotion, demotion is there. They are going to cut salary. They are going to cut my leaves. So these are all the things, these are the fears because of which some person is working and they are maintaining the change. So that is going to come due to the power. So a change agent strategy. So a change agent may follow any of the three strategies. So there are different three strategies which the different change agents are using in different kind of situations. Next is the speed of the change. Now, what are the criteria to be considered that when the change is to be happen? Is the change required immediately? That is urgency. How urgent this change is? It's required immediately, after a month, after a year, it may be anytime. So that is urgency. Depending upon the urgency, how important the change is, the sooner the change is required to happen. Degree of support. How supportive change is. People are liking the change or people don't like the change. People are opposing it or people are welcoming it. Then amount and complexity of the change. How much change is required? The 60% change, 40% change, only 10% is going to change, or only whole together, all together, 100% is going to change. So what is the complexity of the change? What is the amount of the change to happen? If it is 100% change, means it will be a complex change, because altogether whole of the system is going to change. So the things would be more complex over there. Then competitive environment. Now the outer environment is changing, you know, worldwide the changes is happening, technology is changing, system is changing, people are changing. So automatically, if we are not changing, if the organization is not changing, so there is a problem in the survival. So if the competitive environment is there, then we need to adopt the change as soon as possible. Knowledge and the skills available. If the change is required, we must have the full knowledge of it. The skills are required, means what? Okay, we will take an example of the skills. We will be talking of the skills. So what kind of skills we are talking of? Now the environment is changing, fine, we are working with the technology. If we are not aware of the latest technology which is working, if we are not aware of the latest software, then, and if we are aware of this software but we don't know how to use that, how to work with that software, if we don't have that kind of skills to use that software or to work upon those strategies, then it is no worth of using that change. So the change is only and only considered, the change is only and only going to happen and work if the knowledge and skills are available. And last are the financial and other resources. So to make a change in an organization, the finance is required. As much as money you are going to spend upon the same, at the same degree, the change is going to happen. Further, we are going to consider with the resistance to change. So resistance to change means who don't want to change. Resistance means I don't want to do this thing. So resistance to change means who don't want to change. So there are basically the things, there are basically the three types of resistance at where the change cannot happen. So efforts to block the new way of doing the things is known as the resistance to change. So first kind of resistance would be the individual resistance. When the people don't want to change. I, as an individual, I don't want to change to happen. So that is individual resistance. Group resistance means we in a group, suppose we are 15 students, 16 students, fine. So, or we are a group of people in an organization. So we don't want a change to happen. So whole of the group is making a resistance for the same. Then organizational resistance, when particular unit, particular organization, a particular company, they are resisting for the change. They don't want the change to happen. So that is known as the organizational resistance. So individual resistance. Below are stated some reasons why the people resist the change. Some of these appear to be rational and or emotional. So these reasons are, now why individuals are resistant to change? Because of some, these resistance may be divided into the two parts. One is the rational and the another is the emotional. Now emotional is which is dealing with my own emotion. My emotions are there. And rationals are which are going to happen over there. The facts which are going to happen over here. Like economic factor. Money is the main problem. Money is the problem with everyone. So economic factor is there. Habit. My habit is not such that I should work with computer. I don't want to work with computer. I don't like computer. So habit is there. Insecurity. I may lose my job. So computer is going to take my place. I may lose my job. Lack of communication. The information is not provided well. Right? The information is not particularly given. So communication is not there. Proper communication is not there. It is not being informed that what is to be done, why it is being done, what will be the better thing which is coming out of it. Then extent of change. Till what extent the change is going to happen. So if at this extent it's going to happen, no, I don't want to. Okay, initial fine, 1, 2, 3 steps are okay. Next, I don't want to do it. Then psychological factor. My mind is saying, my psychological factors, they don't want to change for the same. Fine, my attitude, my belief, my values, or my education, all those things. Social factor. The society is creating a problem. Individual want to change, but individual is not changing just because of the society. So that is the social factors. Now, group resistance. Most organization changes have impact on the formal groups in the organization. The main reason why the group resists the change is that they fear that their cohesiveness or the existence isn't threatening by them. Now, why the group resist a change? They feel that our group resistance, our group existence is going to change. Our group existence is in problem. Fine. So group won't exist anymore. So we won't be utilizing our past. We won't be utilizing our experiences. We won't be working together. So our group will be in a problem. So that's why we don't want to happen. We don't want that this change should happen. So group feel that our existence, our cohesiveness cannot be considered. They won't be considered, and that is in a problem. It is having a threatened over there. So that's why they don't want to change. The last one is the organizational resistance. So organizational resistance means the change is restricted at the level of the organization itself. Some organizations are so designed that they resist new ideas. This is specifically true in the case of the organization which are conservative in nature. Majority of the business firms are also resistant to change. The major reasons for the organizational resistance are threat of power, group inertia, organizational structure, threat to specialization, resource constants, and sunk cost. So because of the money involved, because of the resources constraint, because the many resources are not available, or the resources are not available in the high number. So because of these problems, because of the power, because of these problems, the organization, they also don't want to change. Many of the organization at the whole level, they don't want to change the things, because either they don't have the money, or they don't have the resources, or their specialization is not into that thing. Means they are working with the handmade things, but machines are not available, so they are not specialized into these things. They cannot purchase the things, or the organizational structure is not such, means the hierarchy is not such that the organization may change. So because of these different reasons, the organizations, they also resist to change. So these are the resistance basically dealing with the organizational. Further, we are going to talk of the dynamics of the planned change. Now, the change that is happening time and again. The change cannot stop. Once the things are changed, it doesn't mean that further we don't require any changes. So changes are required time and again. Now, this is the model of a planned change which is going to happen. So first is the intervention activities. Intervention activities are those activities which are required to make the changes. So interventions are basically the strategies which help in making the change in the organization. Now, these intervention activities, they will lead to the organization work setting. Now, how organization work setting would be there? Inside the organization, there are organizing arrangements, technology is there, physical setting is there, social factors are there. Means people are working over there, organization is working over there, the people are working with some technology, the settlement is over there, the society is also working over there. So these all factors, they will lead to the individual behavior. So when a person is working in an organization, a person is working in a college, so he or she is taking the lectures also, doing with their own routine office works also, they are working with the ERP systems also. So ultimately, it will lead to the individual behavior. So individual, it will lead to the organizational performance. So individual is performing over here. And this performance will automatically lead to the organizational performance. Means individual is developing, the individual people are developing because they are giving good performance. The results are good of an individual. If the individual results are good, then automatically the organizational results are also good. So how it happened? It happened with the change which started at the initial stage, and ultimately it had lead to the organizational performance. So this is how the theoretical model of the dynamic changes working. Next are the models and the theories of the planned change. So we will be talking of the four models of the theories of the planned change. First is the Lewis change model, then action research model, Burke model, and system theory. So first is the Lewis change model. Lewis change model is basically working at the three stages: the unfreezing, moving, and refreezing. So unfreezing is when the person don't want to change. So person is at the initial stage, the first stage, so already which has happened in the past. Till now, he's working with that past change only, past thing only. Now, he has been convinced He has been informed that the change is required. So slowly and slowly and slowly, that person is moving towards the change. So that is moving, trying to accept, trying to change. So that trying part is coming over there, moving part. And ultimately, when the person has changed, when the change has automatically happened, that is known as refreezing. So from unfreezing stage, we are coming to refreezing. So unfreezing, freezing, freezing is also known as moving. So freezing is there, and afterwards refreezing. So that is how the Lewis change model has worked upon. So Lewis, he was a philosopher basically. He has given theory. He was a theoretic person. In 1951, identified several rules that should be followed in implementing the plan change. So change should only be implemented for good reasons. So something good can be accepted. Something good will happen in an organization. So if the organization is going to change, automatically it's going to lead to the profit earning. So change should only be implemented for good reasons. Change should always be gradual. Gradual means slowly and slowly, one part, two part, three parts. So like this, the change should happen. All the changes should be planned and not, so the changes should not be sudden. It should not happen immediately. No, it should be gradually, it should be planned. That okay, we are moving towards this stage and these things are expected to happen. So we are planning for it to happen. So that is planning part. That should be planned. It should not be sudden. It should not be immediate. All individuals who may be affected by the change should be involved in the planning for the change. So the people who will be going through the change, upon which the change is going to affect, that those people should be involved in planning for that change. Those people should be involved in the planning part. Okay, first, second, third, if this is going to happen, this is the outcome. So all those people should involved in that discussion, upon which the direct effect of the change is going to come. So that is all the individual who may be affected by the change should be involved in planning for the change. We will take a case, a small case. Coca-Cola is finding a new fizz. So experiencing strategic OB, organizational behavior. So a Coca-Cola is changing its culture and also enhancing its product line to better satisfy the demand of the customers. So earlier, this was done with the Isdal and the Sandy. So these were the two persons who have made a change in Coca-Cola. Earlier, Coca-Cola was a company who was just producing a cold drink that is named as Coca-Cola. But now, Coca-Cola has diversified its product line. So Coca-Cola has diversified its product line means they have launched many other products along with that. They are launching the sodas, distilleries, the pulp liquids, and the fuzz kind of thing. So these are the different Fanta, Lemca. So these are all the different things which are being produced over there with the Coca-Cola company. Not only just Coca-Cola, but other segments are also available. So this was a change which has been adopted by Coca-Cola in the coming with the coming change, with the coming environment, with the coming society. So change is also expected over there in the company. So they have changed with the diversified products. So we will be first talking of the first stage, that is unfreezing. Unfreezing, when the unfreezing is being considered. Unfreezing stage is a stage when we feel that we are having some problem. We are not comfortable. A problem is there. So we want to get out of that problem. We want to get out of that pain. We want to get out of that issue. So that is unfreezing stage, when we are in a problem and we want to move out of that. So that is unfreezing kind of thing, when there is a problem. So we will study it. Disconfirmation, creating pain or discomfort, which cause guilty and anxiety, which motivate the person to change. So when there is some problem, some anxiety is there, some anger is there, some problem is there, we want to come out of that problem. So coming out of that problem is known as unfreezing. Helps the people to accept that change is needed because the existing situation is not adequate or appropriate. So the existing situation, the situation of discomfort, the situation of pain, the situation of anxiety, that is not appropriate and that needs to be changed. We need to come out of that. So that is not adequate and appropriate. Next is moving or changing. Moving, the person undergoes the cognitive restructuring. Cognitive restructuring means slowly and slowly the things are changing. One day one change. Second day, another change. Third day, another change. So they are practicing the change. One day, one activity is there. Second day, practicing, 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 practicing. Follow that practice. Change is going to happen. So that is cognitive restructuring. Slowly and slowly, the structuring is happening. Restructuring is happening. पुराने को छोड़ के नए की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं. We are making the changes to happen. So the person acquire the information and evidence showing that the change is desirable and possible. So we need to convince a person that, okay, the change is desirable, the change is required. We need this change to happen and it is possible. This is possible. You can do it. It is always there to happen. So that is possible. Involve rearranging of the current work norms and relationships to meet the new needs. So be involved in the rearranging of the current work. So current work need to be rearranged. So arranging the things one by one by one. So rearranging the things, 2 first, 1 second, 3rd first. So like this, we are going to rearrange the things and we are going to meet the relationship with the new needs. So that is moving. We are moving towards the change to happen. And last is refreezing. Reinforce the changes made so that the new way of behaving becomes stabilized. So here the change has already happened. So we are going to accept that change to happen and ultimately we are going to consider that thing to happen over there. So that is being considered into the refreezing part. So that is refreezing. So change has happened. We are happy with the change and we are moving towards the change to happen. So like this, we are moving towards the change to happen over there. So this is how the 3 stages are working, that is unfreezing, moving and refreezing. Second model of the change is the Burke model of change. So Burke model of change is basically working at the 2 orders. One is the first order change and the another one is the second order change. So first order change basically work or it happens when some features of the organization are going to change, but the fundamental things are not going to change. So that is known as the transactional change. Means some features of the organization are going to change, but the core part, the fundamental nature of the organization, that will remain the same. So we are going to change few features, few things, few systems, but the core thing, the core main part area, the fundamental area, that is not going to change. So this change is known as the transactional change. So the change in the organization climate, that the people perception about the organization, whether good or bad. So that is the change in the organizational climate is going to change. The basic things will remain the same. The fundamental things are going to remain the same, but few things are going to change. So these changes are known as the first order change or the transactional change. So second order change happens when the organization undergoes certain fundamental changes. So the core things are going to change over here. That is in the second order change. And this change is known as the transformational change. So it is going to transform the thing. So transformational change is there. The change in the organizational culture, deep-seated assumptions, values, beliefs that are difficult to change. So these are the changes which are inside. So that is dealing with the organizational culture. Earlier we were dealing with the organizational climate, but here we are dealing with the organizational culture. So that is the deep insight of the organization is going to change, and it will be dealing with the values and beliefs that are difficult to change. So there are 2 distinctive sectors of the organizational dynamics. Transactional leaders contribute to the normal performance by guiding, motivating, and employees towards the goal. So that is at the transactional change. We are motivating the people that the change is okay. You accept that change. So we are guiding them. We are motivating them. So that is dealing with the climate part. Transformational leaders. So that was the transactional leaders. Now transformational leaders are capable of having a profound and extraordinary efforts on the employees. Deep training will be given. System is going to change. Softwares are going to change. So that would come into the transactional leaders. So this is how the 2 level of the model is working. The first level of model and the second level of model. That is dealing with the Burke model, Burke's change model. Third model of the change is known as the general model of the plan change. General model of the plan change basically work with the 4 stages. The first is entering and contracting, then diagnosing, planned and implementing the change, and evaluating the change. So entering and contracting would deal with the initial stage, the first stage. So entering and contracting involves gathering the initial data to understand the problem facing the organization. So what kind of problem the organization is facing, we need to collect the relevant data related to that problem. Develop a contract with the OD practitioner. So OD practitioner is also known as a change agent. He is also known as the consultant. So we are going to contact an consultant or the OD practitioner with which the problem will be discussed. After discussing the problem with the manager and the other organization members. So inside the organization, the problem will be discussed. After that, it will be discussed with the OD practitioner who will help in changing the organization or who will be helping in solving the problem of the organization. The contract spells out. So a contract will be written with the OD practitioner. Between the organization and the OD practitioner, a contract will be written, and that contract it will be specifying the things, future change activities, what activities will be involved in the change, the resource will be committed to the process. So a resource that will be committed to the process, what kind of resources will be used, how OD practitioner and the organizational member will be involved. So how these people will be working and how they will be, where they will be involved. Next is the diagnosing, second stage. Diagnostic focus on understanding the organizational problem with the help of an appropriate model. So we are going to understand what kind of problem at what level it is. We are going to work basically on appropriate models, gathering, analyzing, and the feedback information to the managers and organization members about the problem. So information is being collected from the managers, from other members, that where the problem is, what kind of problem, at what serious level that this problem is. Diagnostic model explore three levels of activities: organization issues, group level issues, and individual level issues. So this model will be working at three levels of the activities: the organizational issues, the group level issues, and the individual level issues. Then the data is gathered through the interviews, observations, and survey instruments. So the ways through which the information will be collected from the organization, from the people, it will be either interviews or the observations or the survey questionnaire. It is being reviewed and analyzed for understanding the problem. So all this information which is gathered, the data which is gathered through three things, that will be reviewed and analyzed for understanding the problem. And last would be the planning and implementing the change. Now here we will plan that how we are going to make the change, how this problem will be solved upon. Organization members and the practitioners jointly plan and implement OD interventions to achieve organizational goals. There are four major types of interventions in OD. So first is the human process intervention at the individual, group, and the total system level. Then technological intervention, those modify the organization structure. So technology is going to change. Then human resource intervention that seeks to improve the member performance and wellness. Strategic intervention to manage the organizational relationship with external environment and to provide internal structure and process necessary to support the business strategy. So strategic intervention would be leading to the organizational relationship and external environment. So where the change is going to happen, what structure the change is happening, how it has happened. So all those things would be considered over there. And last would be implementing the intervention and concerned with the managing change process. So here we will be implementing the change. Now change has happened. We have put that change in the organization and people have started working upon that. So that is implementing the change in the organization. We are going to implement it. The people should work upon it. And the last stage would be evaluating the change, whether the change was positive or negative, whether the change was successful or a failure. So the final stage is planned change involves evaluating the efforts of the intervention, feedback to the organization members about the intervention result, providing the information about whether the change should be continued. The change should continue. We are happy with the change. It should be modified. Okay, the change is okay, but some few changes are required. Modification is required, or suspended means we don't want the change anymore. We want to work with the old part only. So suspended means closed, not required. So successful change involves reinforcing them through the feedback, rewards, and training. So a successful change will be only be successful if it is being followed with the feedback, means people are providing the feedback, rewards are given. Okay, the things are happening good. We are happy. We are welcoming it. So reward is there, and training. The people are being trained that how to work with the new system. So that would be dealing with the training part. So this is how the change is being evaluated in an organization. And the last and the fourth model is known as the system theory. So in system theory, David, the philosopher, the theoretic, he said that the organization or the open system in activity exchange with the environment. So he has considered the organization to be an open system, which is consisting of different parts. So he basically said that the system, the organization is having an input, it work with the strategy. So after working with the strategy, the output is going to receive. So input would consist of the three parameters, that is the environment, resources, and history. So organization is basically implemented with the organization is work basically having an effect through environment, through the resources which are available, and the history of the organization. These things would lead to the change in the work, informal organization, formal organization, and the people. When the strategy is being implemented upon this organization altogether, it will lead to the output, that is the organization will change, the units will change, and the individuals will change. So the change is going to happen at the three levels, that is whole of the organization, the unit or the individual, the unit or the group. So system theory is a concept that originated from the biological, economic, and engineering, which explore these principles and the laws that can be generalized across the various systems. So that is the system theory is dealing with all these areas: biological, economic, and engineering. A system is a set of two or more elements where the behavior of each element has an effect upon the behavior of the whole system. So if input is going to change, the output is affected. So any element who is having a change, who is making a change, so change in the one element is going to affect the change in the whole of the system. So input is going to affect the output. The behavior of the element and the other effect on the whole are interdependent. So if one is changing, the two will automatically change. So they are interdependent. In other words, a system comprises of subsystem whose interrelationship and interdependency move towards the equilibrium within the larger organization. So the system is comprising of the subsystem. So if the subsystems are working properly, then automatically the whole system is working properly. So that will lead to an equilibrium. Equilibrium means that will be an equal state, a normal state. So if the inner core part is okay, then outer part is automatically okay. So that will be a stage of equilibrium. Further, system theory consists of the socio-technical system theory, STS. All organization comprises of two interdependent systems. These are known as the social system and technical system. Now, these two systems, he explained that to achieve the high productivity and employee satisfaction, organization must optimize both the systems. So if we want that the organization should perform good, the people should be satisfied in the organization who are working over there, so they are satisfied, the performance is high, the productivity is high, the profit is high, then we should optimize these two systems. The social system means the society, and the technical system means the working strategies, the technologies inside the organization. The changes in one system affect the other system. So if a change is there in one system, then it is automatically going to affect the other systems also. Benefits of system theory, it affects the problem solving. So effective problem solving is being observed over there. Effective leadership, the leaders are always effective over there. Effective communication from the high level to the low level. Effective planning, so planning will be proper from the starting till the initial stage. And effective organizational development, so the change is going to happen very effectively in an organization. So this is how the system theory is working with. Further, we will be talking of the strategies of implementing a change. In order to move an OD efforts from the idle stage into the implementation, the educators and the managers must also rely that the resources and the support of the organization. So they must, if we want that the organization should change and the organization change need to be effective, then we must, the implementation of the theory should be proper. Educator and managers, they must inform the people, they must inform the resources, the organization, that the change is desirable, change is required, and it should happen. Cantor describes how the following three sets of the basic commodities or the power tools can acquired by the member for any organization to gain power. That is the information, resources, and support. Because of these three things, the change is only possible. Information means we need to have the data, technical knowledge, political intelligence, expertise. So data must be there, then resources must be there, and support should be there for a proper change to happen in an organization. So first strategy in implementing a change would be collecting as many as power tools as possible. Powerful tools means experts, techniques, strategies, data, information. They must be collected in number. Another strategy is to package the change in a way that makes less threatening and therefore easier to sell. For instance, it is easier to implement the change of a product or to project when it is conduct or a trial basis, reversible if does not succeeded, done in the small step, familiar and consistent with the past experience, familiarized and consistent with the past experience, a fit with the organizational current directions, and build the prior commitment or project of the organization. So we must follow all these steps before making a change to happen. So this packages must consist of the trial basis. On the trial basis, we are going to make the change. We are going to reverse the things if it has already happened. We need to do step by step, one by one. So done in the small steps. Then the things which were experienced, we have already experienced in the past. Considering that experiences, we can make the changes on our own, and we must fit the organization in the current direction where the changes required. We must fit those things over there. This packaging should be complete prior to submitting the OD efforts to the designated change sponsor, although the person need to be involved in the further assistance in the packaging and selling of the planned change. So whatever is required, a package should be considered, and that package should work upon the change to happen. Building coalition is a strategy that often occurs throughout the entire phase of implementing the change. Support must be gathered from all the areas which will affect the desirable change. So we must get the support, we must get the information from where the change is possible, where it is possible, how it is possible. So that must be described, and these described changes should work in the organization to happen upon. So it will lead to the advisable and a support is required from the immediate superior that whether the change has been implemented and whether it was successful or not. So a proper support and the proper feedback is required for the proper change to happen in an organization. So that's all for today. Thank you everyone for patiently listening.